Hey, what's going on everyone? Paul Adonis Maximus here, back with another lazy way to start your AI film. And it still just blows my mind how fast AI is evolving. We're almost to the halfway point of 2026, and the stuff that's been coming out this year just has been amazing. And now Higgsfield has just released this new MCP tool that's really changed the game, how you can actually create AI films. We've gone from the traditional come up with the prompt, paste in prompt, hit generate, to actually having a conversation as you would with your director of photography on a traditional filmmaking set. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through some of the testing that I've done with this MCP tool via Claude. This thing was released very recently, so I didn't have a lot of expectations for everything to go exactly right out of the gate, but I'm going to explain to you what this tool is, how it differs from the traditional method that you're used to, and how this new method can potentially be game-changing so long as you talk to it correctly. And I'll explain all of that in a bit. Let's get right into the video. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is an account with Anthropic. I'm willing to guess that at least 85% of my audience has used Claude at some point and probably already have an account, but if you don't, you're going to want to go to claude.ai and sign up for one of these plans. Now, for what we're doing, it will work with the free account, but what's interesting is that I didn't even know that Anthropic had a free tier. As I mentioned in a previous video, I've been using Claude since they released it back in March 2023 and have always been on the pro plan. It's $20 a month if you pay monthly. And if they had a free plan whenever I got started with Claude back in 2023, I instinctively knew that I wouldn't be getting everything because it was free, right? With free shit, you get what you pay for. So I always started with the pro plan, or whatever the plan was called at the time, because I wanted to unlock everything. Now, right now, I currently don't have a use case for the max plan. You know, maybe if I start doing more with Claude Design, that will allow me to unlock that 5x to 20x more usage. And honestly, I believe the 20x one is the $200 per month plan that they've got around here somewhere. I'm also not using Claude Code or Claude Coworks, so again, the pro tier should be more than enough for what you need to do. It's $20. I spend that on 2 coffees at Starbucks each week. Like legit, my coffees at Starbucks are $10. It's ridiculous. And that was before they raised the prices again. So again, for this step, just make sure you go to claude.ai and sign up for either the free tier or the pro tier. And what we're doing will work on the free tier. Just understand that you're going to run into some limitations if you decide to go with the free plan. Now, for this step, you will need a subscription with Higgsfield. And if you know that you're going to try out Higgsfield and you want to help out the channel at no extra cost to you, then be sure to use our partner link. You'll find that in the description below. Thanks in advance. But if you already have a Higgsfield account, or when you do sign up, you're going to want to go to higgsfield.ai/MCP. And when you do that, you'd land on this page right here, and you'll see you have the option of MCP, CLE, and Skill. We're not going to focus on either of these two. We're only going to look at MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on the ins and outs of MCP, what it is, and all of that techno babble. If you want to dive deeper into what MCP is, just pull out your phone, open Gemini, open Anthropic, now that you've signed up, or if you already have an account, just ask it, what is MCP? But basically, it's a very cool new way, and I say new way, I think it came out in 2025, that allows you to connect different tools together, which is going to allow us to use Higgsfield within Claude. So again, if you think about this, Claude, which is awesome, can take the instructions that you give it to do stuff on your behalf within Higgsfield. And we'll get into all of that. And in fact, if you scroll down this page, you'll see that they have more information on this. And these are going to be some of the exact same examples we're going to run through in today's video. But what you want to do in this step is you want to come here. I'm going to copy this here, and then I'm going to go back to Claude. And what we want to do is to find the connectors section within settings. And to get to your settings, all you do is you go down here, you click that, you see the settings button, you click that, and then you're going to click on connectors right here. And if you've already got some stuff connected, you'll see it here. But for what we want to do, you want to come down here and say add custom connector, and we're going to drop the link that we just copied in Higgsfield over here. We're not going to do anything with advanced settings, and we're just going to click add. Now, there's one more thing that you have to do because you may easily forget. You see that it's shown up here in your menu, but you also have to click connect. And this is why I tell you that you're going to need to have a Higgsfield subscription, because now Claude wants to talk to Higgsfield, and we're able to achieve that via MCP. So I'm going to click allow because they want to verify my identity and my email address, and everything is now online. And the way that you can verify that is if if you go to chats, I'll just say new chat. And if you click right here and click on connectors, you'll see Higgsfield. And as you can see, we're good to go. So before we see the Higgsfield MCP in action, I briefly want to step back and talk about how this process is a little bit different from the traditional AI filmmaking process, because I also want to point out that you're probably going to be seeing AI bros out there saying things like prompting is dead. And in this video, even though I do believe that this is going to be a much more intuitive, much more conversational way to interact with AI, saying that you don't need to prompt for this or that prompting is dead is complete bullshit. Because in the example that I'm going to show you, you literally have to do a bit more hand holding when you're using the MCP way, but it does get better as your prompting gets better. And again, I'll explain all of that in just a minute. So again, let's take a look at the current traditional way of AI filmmaking, the current AI filmmaking workflow. You're either going to start one or two ways. You're going to have a prompt that you generate, either using something like Claude or ChatGPT. And in Flora, what you'd want to do is start with text and then choose your LLM and basically say something like, give me a prompt for X, whatever. You take that prompt, you put it in the image generator, and then you create your image. Or you can also start with a reference image, also known as a start frame. And then you take your start frame, you upscale it, you select your video model, you give it some direction in terms of how you want the video to go. And from that, you get a video generation. Pretty straightforward. But notice that this does involve a lot of clicking, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just pointing out the current workflow. So again, you have to create the upscale image node, and then you upscale the image. And then from there, you create a video node, you give it a prompt, and you run the generation. The flip that happens with MCP is, again, it's more like a conversation, and you're telling the AI to do all of that stuff for you. Now, all of this MCP stuff is fairly new. I know MCP debuted last year in 2025, but the concept of combining things like Claude with Higgsfield via MCP and actually generating things like this tech has only been around for a few weeks. So what I'm going to do right here is show you some of the testing that I did to show you how it cannot be as straightforward as you would think. Because again, the path I see going forward is you're going to be having more of a conversation when it comes to AI filmmaking with your AI agent. But as of right now, it still needs a lot of context. Now, in this example, I attached an image and I told it to create a 3x3 character reference grid of the attached with Nano Banana Pro. And I would say this was my fault because I didn't specify with Higgsfield. I was honestly trying to see if the AI was smart enough to figure it out, because we all know that Claude itself cannot do anything with Nano Banana. I thought it would look and see that I've got the MCP for Higgsfield attached and then use that to do the grid. But as you can see, it actually generated this aesthetically pleasing looking 3x3 grid of all of the prompts. And then it even went into like different genres and stuff because it was pulling from some of the data that I've got attached to this project. And I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted. So I even call it out right here. I say, that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting you to use the Higgsfield MCP tool and create the 3x3 character reference grid with the image attached that I gave you. And even with that, I mean, you see that it does call up the Higgsfield MCP tool, but it started generating all of these images individually. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And so again, it went through this whole thing. And at some point, I think I stopped it, or I said, let's try again. I was expecting you to take the attached image and create a 16x9 3x3 grid. So again, maybe my bad for not saying a 16x9 3x3 grid. And I said I wanted it of the same woman with different angles. That's it. And so even with that, it still started trying to generate these images individually once again. And so then I stopped it and said, why are you trying to generate a bunch of different shots? Explain to me what you are doing so that I can understand. And so again, let me just pause right here, guys, because as you can see, I've done multiple turns with this thing and I've not gotten what I've asked for, when I literally could have just gone to Flora and, just gave it a prompt and got what I wanted. And let me just say this, because some of you may be saying, well, Paul Donis, why didn't you just take the same prompt that you have over in Flora, like copy all this stuff? Like, why didn't you just go to Claude and then drop that in the box and then tell it to do all of that stuff with the Higgsfield MCP? And that's what I'm getting at. This way is supposed to be much more of a conversation. So if you're having to do the exact same thing that you would have to do in something like Flora, then what is the advantage of using this over Flora? Again, as you can see from a bird's eye view, this was literally just take the reference reference image, which I believe was this one right here. I connected it over here, and this was Riverflow 2.0, but I did it on multiple different nodes, and I gave it the prompt, and it gave me the 16:9 3x3 grid. And then so back to Claude. This is what it told me when I said, why are you trying to generate a bunch of different shots? Claude says, the goal, one single 16:9 image with a 3x3 grid of the same woman at 9 different angles. It understood that, but then it said, the problem, Higgsfield generates one image per job. There's no create a grid button. I have to build the grid myself. Do you see the problem here? And then so that's why it says the workflow was to generate 9 individual images, and then once they're all done, for me to download them all. So then I said, okay, what if I use the word character reference sheet instead? One character reference sheet with 9 different images / angles in one 16:9 image. And I said, you should know that prompt. All of that, I finally got what I was asking for. Now, despite all of that, here's where it gets really good, and this is how it's actually supposed to work when it works. Because what I was trying to force the AI to do is to do what it did exactly here. I want you to take what I gave you, you come up with the prompt, and then use Nano Banana Pro to create the generation. And as you can see, that's exactly what it did right here. Character reference sheet of the same woman from the reference image. Blah, 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 blah. So for another test, what I'll do instead is say something like, hey, take the attached image and create a 16:9 3x3 character reference sheet. Use Nano Banana Pro or Nano Banana 2. So I say all that to say, yes, you can talk to it conversationally, but you still have to frame what you're doing somewhat as a prompt. So now that we've kind of got the flow, let's look at more of how it works when we talk about having a conversation with the AI. As you can see right here, I said, okay, now take the same image, and this time I want you to do a 4-panel turnaround sheet in 16:9. Use Nano Banana 2 this time. Claude then takes your instructions, it comes up with the prompt itself, and we got exactly what we asked for here. So again, think about how this stacks against the traditional way you would do this. If you really didn't have a robust prompt that you use for this process, then you would likely ask something like Claude or ChatGPT, hey, I have this image, I want a 4-panel turnaround, give me the prompt to do it. Then you'll take what Claude gives you, you'll go over to something like Flora, you'd open the Nano Banana 2 node, you paste in the prompt, and then you'd hit the generate button. Can you see how all of that has now been compacted down to just a conversation? So it does that, and then I say, hey, let's see what it does when it comes to video. I then gave it these instructions. Use Seedance 2.0 to create a 9:16 scene of a woman in a modern gym stretching. The video should be 10 seconds long with no music, just ambient natural gym sound. Again, same process. The AI takes your instructions. It comes up with the prompt. It selects the Seedance 2.0 model and it generates the scene. And this is where it gets really good, because I was actually waiting at a stoplight in my car and I have the Claude app on my phone, and I was thinking, I wonder if I tell it to generate more than one video, would it know to do that? Because if you think about the traditional workflow, before you generate the video, you know that you can come here and you can decide how many videos you want to generate. And so again, I was wondering if the AI would understand what I'm asking. I literally just said, generate a batch of 3 more videos. And these are how some of them turned out. Seedance does sometimes have your start frame at the very beginning of the scene, and then it cuts to the actual scene that you prompted for. I don't really experience that a lot when I'm just generating with Seedance directly, either in Higgsfield or Flora, but it does happen occasionally. Now, the one thing that I did not expect, because again, let me just go back to this just right quick. The only thing I'm doing right here is saying, hey, this same start frame with this same prompt, just generate, what was this, 1, 2, 3, 4 videos of that. Whereas via the MCP, the AI decided to have a different prompt / different scene for each scene with the woman. I was not expecting that. I wanted it to take the same prompt and just create 3 more videos with the same woman / same reference sheet image. So maybe in the future, I say something like, use the exact same prompt to generate a batch of X amount more videos, to indicate that I don't want any variation in the prompt. I just want to see 3 different versions of the video with the same prompt, because we all know that each generation is going to come out a bit differently, but it's going to follow the same prompt. But it's definitely not bad, because it came up with some variations. So if you were wanting to do a montage that you can stitch together in something like Final Cut Pro, then you've got enough coverage. So again, I just wanted to demonstrate some quick testing that I did with Higgsfield via MCP. I can already see the endless possibilities of just iterating through different concepts, different techniques, all of that just within your LLM, not having to click buttons, not really having to do anything other than instructing the AI to do what you need it to do. I'm going to be doing a lot more testing with this tool in the upcoming days, and I'm actually planning to do a complete deep dive within the AI Cinematographer's Playbook. We're going to be looking at more advanced lazy ways to start your AI film, and I think my students are really going to like the deep dive. But if you currently are not a student enrolled in the AI Cinematographer's Playbook, then just know that I am offering a deal to anyone who becomes a YouTube channel member or Patreon whenever I kick that off. If you become a channel member, you can receive up to 20% off of the AI Cinematographer's Playbook, so be sure to check out the link below this video for more information, or if you want to just go ahead and enroll without becoming a channel member, then be sure to scan the QR code on your screen or click the link below this video to learn more. As always, if you found this video helpful, then be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, because not only does it tell the YouTube algorithm that you enjoy videos like these, but it also tells YouTube that you want to be alerted when we upload the next one. And if you're interested in the lazy way to create epic AI battle scenes using Seedance 2.0 and Higgsfield Cinema Studio 3.5, then be sure to check out the video on your screen right now.